What's going on, guys? I'm gonna show you how I polished my Work Meister S1 3-piece wheel lips. Here's a before of how it looked. I forgot to get a video of all 4 of them before touching it. This is the closest one to being untouched. It's not in the worst condition. I just wanted to get everything nice and polished, make it look nice. Came out really good for my first time. This is what I'm gonna be using to break all the bolts loose. So I have a fat ass fucking 3/8 extension, 12mm socket. Then I have this breaker bar from the jack. The only reason I'm using this is because I don't have an impact. And I thought of this way and it turned out to be quicker than the way I was doing it earlier. But after I break the nuts loose, I'm gonna hit it with the drill, take them all out.
It's yours.
For my hardware, the size of it is a 5/16 12-point socket. So after you break all the nuts loose, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a smaller extension, attach the 12mm, and get a drill if you have one. If not, you're gonna have to do it by hand, which fucking sucks because there's a lot of bolts and it takes time. So I know a lot of people do it differently, like with the impact, or they do it by hand, but it takes too long, and I found it faster this way. Well, for me, when taking apart the wheel, you want to make sure you remember what face goes to what lip and what barrel. What I did was I just numbered it with tape and a Sharpie. This is wheel number 1. Just numbered it right here and on the barrel. Another thing you want to do is make sure you remember which bowl hole it goes into. So I just use the valve stem hole as a reference. So right here, and I mark the face. So when I take the face apart, I know which one it goes into. Because if you don't put it back together, it is gonna sit crooked and unaligned. So that way, if you do this, you'll know which way it goes and what wheel it goes to. Resizing the wheel or getting a new lip or a barrel, you do have to split the seal, which is this right here. And also, if you have like a sandwiched wheel where the face is in between the barrel and the lip, you do have to split it. For what I'm doing, I don't think you have to. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is my first time doing it. Because I mean, the face sits under here inside the barrel, so you don't have to split it. It just depends on what wheel you have. I wouldn't mind splitting the seal. It just takes more time because you have to make sure it's all good and there's no silicone. Because if not, you won't get a proper seal and you'll leak air. Okay, so here's all the sandpaper I bought. At first, I was sanding by hand with the medium block. It was like 100 grit or something. And then I worked up to the fine block. It was 150 grit. I didn't like how it turned out, so I decided to go this way. Just like working up in grits. So if it has a lot of curb rash, what you want to do is start off with the lower grit. So either 80, 180, or 220. It just depends on how deep they are. What I did was I started off with 360. Wet sand, worked up to 400 wet sand, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,500. Just ran out of it. And then 2,000. So for these, they're scuffing pads. I couldn't find any at AutoZone, like the paper wet sand ones. And also for the 360, it's a scuffing pad. It works pretty nice though. I'm also going to be cleaning the inside of the barrels. The only reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to sand the inside of it as well. You guys will see that right now. Time to get all this nasty shit off of it. Just put it in gear, whatever gear you want, like depending on how fast they want you to go. Just start going. Just try to keep it at the same RPM. The reason why all my lights are on is because I unplugged my speed sensors, because one of them was ripped. I started getting all these lights, so I just unplugged both sensors. This is pretty much what you do while the other person is sanding outside, wet sanding. Do it for a minute. Make sure the wheel's straight. Should be good, baby. Look, this is the sensor that ripped. Fuck, it's hella hot in here, G. Fuck, hella hot in here. Yeah. Fucking sweaty. Here's how I'm doing it. Alright, go. So he just has it in like second gear and he's going. You just get it wet a little. You can either use a bucket or just like that. But just make sure you keep on wetting it. Just try to make sure everything's even. Nothing's fucked up. I'll show you guys how it looks after I hit it with this 360. Here's how it came out after hitting it with the 360. So the deep scratches, they're not coming out. I would have to go a lower grit, but I don't really want to do that because I mean it's just the inner barrel. But for the faces, I'm gonna try to get it perfect. This is how it looks after hitting it with the 2000 grit. So this one's pretty much done. We just need to finish one more, and tomorrow we're gonna do the lips. Here's how they all came out. Pretty clean. Not too bad. Better than being fucking dirty and shit. Now all I need to do is the lips. And to do that, I just need to flip the face. And then I'll be good. Hell yeah, baby. Battle. Ow! First, I would start off by doing this part. Start off with 360 right here. Just get everything nice and even. It's gonna take a while doing it by hand. You gotta have patience though. It'll turn out way better. I still need to go over it and get little imperfections. I'm also gonna redo all this right here. Put it on the car. Just take your time. Make sure everything's nice and even, and it'll come out way better. So for my wheels, I have to use a spacer because it isn't clear. It always hits on the strut. So what you do is just fucking put the spacer and then put the wheel on the car. And I usually just put 3 lug nuts. You could put all 5 if you want, but it makes it faster to take it off just by putting 3 on there. Now that you have all the lug nuts on the car, you're just gonna have one of your homies or whatever start the car, put it in gear, start going. So this is how it looked before when I went through all the grits. I don't know if you can tell, but there's all the lines. I'm pretty sure if you're experienced, you'll be able to get all these lines out. But it was my first time, so it was kind of hard. What I would do is just use a foaming pad if it's your first time. Makes it a whole lot easier. Gets all the lines out. Before putting it on the car, you should do this part by hand. Because how I explained earlier, it's easier and it'll make everything even. Just be careful with your hands when it's spinning. And it makes a fat ass mess. Water goes everywhere. Splashes all over the car. So right now he's in 3rd gear. Just wet down the scuffing pad. Go like that. Make sure everything's wet. And then keep re-wetting it so it doesn't dry out. Just leave it on there for a while and make sure everything's even. So just get back here. And to get in here, this is what I do. I just put my finger, and also in here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just be careful with your fingers. After hitting it with the maroon scuffing pad, here's how it came out. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but everything looks to be pretty even. Here's the first one that's officially done before I polish it. First, I was just experimenting with the sandpapers, like the different grits and all that. So 360, 400, 600, 800, 1,000 to 2,000. But I didn't like how it turned out. I was doing this by hand, because at first you have to do this by hand, because when you have the face on, you're not able to reach these places once it's spinning. So say you do it on the car first and you go ahead and do this, you're probably going to scratch up here, so you're going to have to redo it. So that's why I would recommend to start right here and get everything nice and even, and then you move up here. When I was doing it, I did 2,000 all around, and I double checked it, and I was able to see little scratches everywhere, and I wasn't able to get them out, because I mean, this is my first time doing it. It's not going to be perfect, but for me, the best way it came out was when I did it with just the scuffing pads. So first 360 and then 800 just right here, and then you put the face on, put it on the car, make a spin, 360 and then 800, and this will most likely be the result of it. Pretty nice. Now all I need to do is polish it. I started polishing this side, and this is kind of how it's going to turn out, the whole wheel. For my first time doing it, I honestly feel like this is the best way, just using the scuffing pads. You can do it whatever way you want, however it turns out best for you. For the polish, this is what I'm using. So you just grab a little bit, and then all you pretty much do, put it on there. You start rubbing it until you see all this black shit. Keep rubbing it in. Go to a clean side of the towel. Just keep rubbing it. I know there's other products you can use, like compounds and all that, to make it shinier, but I feel like this is good enough. I already did this part right here. Oh shit. Like this right here. Comes out pretty good. If I want to keep polishing it, I could buy different products. The Mother's Mag aluminum polish works pretty fucking good though. Instead of using the regular sandpaper or the sanding blocks I was talking about earlier, I decided to use these scuffing pads, because I was experimenting with all three, and this is the one that came out best for me. Since it was my first time, I wasn't able to get everything even with the sanding blocks or the fucking sandpaper. So it was just a maroon scuffing pad, 360 grit, and then I worked up to these gray ones, 800 grit. They do come in bigger pieces, but I just cut it down like in these small pieces. And after polishing it, this is how it came out. It looks good. Barrel's also sanded down. Nothing too crazy. Here's the second one. All I need to do now is get the faces powder coated, the hardware. Wheels are halfway done. Hell yeah.